Okay, class, before we start our experiment today, we need to have a little review of what we're going to do. This is what? A sphere. Good job. And what is the two-dimensional shape of this? A circle. Nice. So I'm going to draw a circle. How would you measure this? Okay, so we're going to take the middle. Does anyone know what that's called? Diameter. Good job. So we're going to have a D right there for diameter. And does anyone know where that? If I put a half point on there, what is the halfway to a circle? Radius. Good job. And then the full circle is? Or circumference. Nice. So what we're going to need to know today during your experiment is how to get the measurements for the radius, the diameter, and the circumference. So we know that the radius is half of the diameter, and the circumference is the full circle.
Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to be incorporating math and science into one lesson, and by doing so we are going to be studying craters and meteorites and their effects in comparison and contrast to the moon. And I'm going to hand it over to my co-teacher.
Alright, has anyone heard that the moon was made out of cheese? Even though the craters are the surface of the moon, they do resemble holes like Swiss cheese. But these are actually formed from meteorites. So today, we are going to learn kind of what meteorites are and why they create craters on the moon and not the Earth. Does anyone have any ideas on why this is? We're going to make a hypothesis together. We have some materials.
To conduct this experiment, to kind of give you a simulation of what craters and meteorites do to the moon and planets, we have our materials here. First, you have to have a pan, and then you put flour in it, and then you smooth the surface, kind of getting it all flat so it has accuracy in your measurements. And you also have pudding, and you have 3 different balls. You have a wooden ball, a styrofoam ball, and your normal ping pong ball. And you also have to have a ruler or a tape measure to measure the impact of the craters and meteorites.
Okay, so now that we've seen our materials, can anyone think of a hypothesis that will help us? Alright, so if we drop 3 different balls of different sizes and weights, the size of the craters will create a different diameter, is what we're going to use as our hypothesis. So, we're going to go on to our steps now. We are going to fill our container with the flour. After we smooth it all out, we are just going to put a layer of the pudding mix over top. And this is just going to help us see where the craters are. Once we've completed that step, we are going to drop the first ball. What do you think we should, or where do you think we should drop it from? Correct. We are going to drop it from the same height each time to have a common denominator in our balls. So we are going to take the ruler and stick it into the flour. So each ball that we're going to drop is going to drop from the entire ruler. Does anyone know the length of a ruler? Correct. It is 12 inches, which is a foot. So we're going to take the ball here, and we're going to start with the wooden ball. So we're going to keep track. And this does get messy. So now we're going to remove it. And then we are going to measure the diameter of the crater that it created. After we drop each ball carefully from the same height on different sides of the pan, we're going to measure all their diameters, and we're going to keep track of the data that we've collected. After the data, we're going to see what your classmates have gotten as well, and we are going to create a graph out of it. So we're going to drop the ping pong ball next. And track that information. And then the styrofoam ball. Once all your data is complete and we've talked to the classmates around you, we will create a personal graph as well as a class graph of all of our information and create a conclusion to see if the hypothesis is correct or not. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, class. Now that we are back together and not in our groups anymore, I drew a graph up here so that we could look at the data and interpret it. And as you see, we have the diameter on the bottom, and we have the circumference on the left-hand side, and it's measured in centimeters. And as you notice on the graph, it gradually increases with the size of the diameter increases, the size of the circumference increases. So, class, what do you think that tells you about circumference and the diameter? Yes, that is correct. With the larger items you have as far as in diameter or circumference, it will increase your results in craters and meteorites, and that is our lesson on craters and meteorites, math and science. Thank you.